How are we doing, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today is the April 1st patch notes. So with this patch we finally got Drieghan, which is really good. Plenty of videos out there about the different grind zones in Drieghan and some information on there. If I have some time, I will be checking out the grind zones myself, and if there's any important information about the new area that I find, I'll post that on my channel too to keep you guys updated. But I am very busy this week and probably into next week too, so don't expect me to be in these grind zones anytime soon, but I will try and get to them at some point. With Drieghan, we've got the new boss, so we also now have Libra Gloves into the game if you kill that world boss. However, Libra Gloves is going to be pretty strong. It's got 2 more DP, and on top of that, it's going to reduce your accuracy and give you a bunch of evasion. Ninja Kuna is going to benefit from this a lot. However, it is important to note that in this stage of the game, damage reduction is superior to evasion on console for now, because we're at the lower AP stage. We haven't hit those, a lot of the community hasn't hit the higher AP brackets because of the throttling that we've obviously got, which is what causes the damage reduction to be so powerful on console. Later on, as we get more AP and we get Kafra Stones and Bartali quest lines and Garmoth Hearts and these other bits and bobs, and we start doing more damage, if damage reduction is going to become less relevant and evasion is become more relevant. So this evasion is going to be more sought after in the future, but at the same time, accuracy is also going to be more important at that point as well. So it is a toss-up between Beg's Gloves and Libra Gloves. Just know that evasion is going to perform better in the future if you are building evasion. And for now, damage reduction is king with Tet armors. When we get into the pens, that's when stuff like this becomes a lot stronger. This new minigame is an event, Locario. I don't know exactly how it works. I wasn't paying attention to their YouTube video when they were going through it. I will link a post to their YouTube video and at the timestamp where they're actually playing this minigame and how they start playing this minigame. So if you want more information on it, you have to go check them out. Now, system changes for Europe. We've had the daylight savings times finally applied. So this means everything's gone back to regular timetables for us that it used to be a couple weeks ago. I.e., let's say you're in England, you're in GMT time zone, the node wars and sieges will be back at 7 p.m. and bosses will be back at 6 p.m. That's nice depending on your availability. Obviously, if you're not available at that time, those times, then it's not as good for you. Other system changes, so what this means, they've substituted 1 dried fish for 1 fish squid, is in cooking recipes. If it used to say 1 fresh squid in the past, you had to put in 2 dried squid. Whereas now when it says 1 fresh squid, you only put in 1. So it just saves the amount of squid you have to use in your cooking. And a small nerf for quest changes, the awakening quest line for all characters. Now when you complete them, you no longer get a +10 awakening weapon or a blue grade weapon. You now get a non-enhanceable weapon that can't be sold on the central market that is the equivalent of a +10 that you used to get from the quest line. So this means you're going to see a lot less awakening weapons for repairs. The prices are probably going to start going up, the blue grade, and all those +10 weapons as well on the market, the green ones, they're going to start slowly dwindling. Also, people don't have the option of just extracting the stones for a little bit of stone benefit when completing the quest. A small nerf, but it's not going to be that big because you're going to be trying to get to awakening as quick as possible here. We want to spend as little time as possible in this stage of the game and get to your dandy ASAP. And they've also added Dragon Slayer, which helps a little bit as well. UI changes, just, you know, a couple of things look different. The clan UI, the server swapping and all the other bits and bobs doesn't really make too much of a difference for me. If it's good or bad for you, that's just up to you. It's a personal preference thing. Node War changes, going to be very interesting seeing what happens to the Node War scene, because they're just buffing the durability and / HP, I guess you can think of it as, of all the main structures. So castle gates are going up by 25%, durability of fort command posts 25%, the siege defense towers by 40%, barricades by 40%. This is actually quite needed because the wooden barricades were pretty flimsy, but iron barricades are pretty strong, and that's going up by 20% as well. This does promote more fighting though, which is good. There's more fight promotion that's going to be involved with these defense upgrades, and on top of that, that's going to de-incentivize the base rush tactics. So it definitely can be a good thing, but I mean the main issue is after you get in, let's say you get into someone's base, if you wipe them, it's the problem of the respawn timers, because some people have SSDs, some people don't have SSDs. And there's different times that people load in, so no one loads in at the same time, making it very difficult to defend your base when there's only 2-3 of you up and you're all available to take damage and not be able to do supporting damage back to the enemy team. But again, now you got a bit more time, so maybe you can do something with this. Time will tell how this affects the Node Wall scene and Siege scene. General character changes. Now, this is pretty big. I'm very surprised we got this on the console, because PC had a lot of mitigating factors to this change. They had a lot of foods, elixirs, and different crystals, and the ability to put more crystals in their dandy as well. So this accuracy nerf that we get is really going to affect us in a different way than it affects PC, especially because we're not in that one-shot meta yet. In PC, everyone's got wicked high gear score, lots and lots of AP, and people just delete. They like delete at the APs that they're at. So 100% accuracy skill getting nerfed for them is very different for us. Because for them, if they landed a CC, certain abilities that have the 100% accuracy skills just made your class able to pretty much guarantee the one combo. That has now changed. It's going to be a different... Fights are a lot more extended on console in comparison, so it's going to affect us differently. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to the meta. A few notes that I can give about this is all grabs are going to be nerfed, which is definitely going to be interesting for 1v1s. It's going to add a lot more skill to the 1v1 scene because you can't rely on the grabs. That's going to be good. In terms of like small scale and RBF, it's going to make witch wizards stronger and SA classes, even Musa, stronger as well, because there's less chance of them getting grabbed, so they can dish out more damage. But at the same time, this is going to force people to learn how to deal with these SA classes without grabs. So you need to know about positioning. Your frontal guards are really important. You can't just super armor these people, your iframes. And it's going to teach people how to deal with these classes without them just getting grabbed and plucked out the sky for them to do a couple moves on. So it can have some beneficial effects in the long term of PvP. But in large scale, the grab nerf really is going to make a difference. Grabs don't happen in large scale as often. I'm not saying they don't happen, but they definitely don't happen as often, because when there is a bullfight happening, if you grab someone, you're dead. You're in the bull, you're stuck in an animation, and you're just going to get pretty much instantly deleted. So it's going to not make, in my opinion, too much difference in terms of the grabs being nerfed for large-scale kind of fights in Node War sieges. But we'll keep an eye on this and see how it goes. This might change the effectability of non-grab classes v grab classes. It just depends on how reliable the grab is going to be at 50%, because it's not 100% reliable now as it is, so we'll see. So they've also done some touches for different issues on characters. They just fixed a few issues on the Valkyrie, fixed a few issues with the Mystic. Ninja got some nerfs, but technically Ninjas and Kuno, I guess, they're pretty much the same here. These nerfs are kind of doesn't matter, because of the overall accuracy nerf. Our classes kind of get buffed a little bit because evasion is becoming more viable and we're evasion based classes. So don't worry about this. I know it looks like we're getting nerfed, but it's not that bad. Sudden decapitation is now switchable from pre-awakening to awakening. That's interesting. I'm going to mess around with this a bit more in the future. Drastic measure can be comboed through vacuum slash. I've been messing around in History with this. It seems decent. It's kind of nice. It helps you with cooldown management, but it's not that big. I haven't had the chance to practice as a PvP to see if you can get anything viable out of that, but it now gives you a more consistent option to follow up in PvP. If your items are on cooldown, you can get some quick damage out there, but the drastic measure is kind of unsafe during animation, and the vacuum slash last hit is also unsafe, so there is plenty of gaps in there, but we'll see. I'll see if that can be used in PvP or not. Time will tell. And this last little bit is just basically the same smoke screen. They got the same debuff as smoke screen. The evasion rate from 18% to 9% on this skill, on these skills. Okay, so the same for the Kuno. They got some changes here. I don't know much about the Kuno kit, so I can't really comment on this. But just as a quick overview, the 50% extra crit hit rate for PvE should help their clear if this move is used a lot during their clear, especially now that they can use it off cooldown as well. Again, if this is a spammable move, then this should definitely help them out a lot. They've changed the way some of their abilities flow. Like for the ninja, we get an extra one of our old moves now flows with another move. Both of these moves were not very used in the ninja kit previously, so it will be interesting to see. For Kuno, I don't know if these are used moves or not in PvP. If they are, this might be quite a good buff. buff. If they're not, it could just make it viable for PvP. They've decreased the cooldown of Lunar Discus from 15 to 12 seconds, so that's good for them, but they did get reduced PvP damage dealt by the lethal spin by 17%, and that's definitely a substantial nerf for the Kuno. And again, they've just decreased a couple of the evasion stats on their other skills. Musa, they've done a few things. You can now flow extra credit after projection, and a couple different ways that Musas can use their abilities. So you can now combo flow dash slash with below the belt. That's actually pretty good. You can now combo flow back flow after beginning of the belt. So this is going to gives them more options of how to use their skills, which is definitely going to be nice for them. They're going to feel a lot stronger with the ability to add these extra items into their kits, and the fact that they should be getting grabbed less. Mayweather's gotten some buffs, so they've got some all evasion minus 3% put on their Sticky Snowflake. They corrected the attack range of Sticky Snowflake, because apparently it was a bit too short before. So it got extended to the length of the actual animation itself, so that should be easier for you guys to use and land on more people. They corrected some discrepancies they had in these skills beforehand, so the text has been modified to give you guys the correct accuracy effects of these abilities. They've now also added the ability to add Moonlight Dash to their ring menu. They've changed something about how the damage is applied between the Moonlight Dash and the Petal Bloom skill. They've correlated the damage dealt. I don't exactly know what that means, but that's something they've changed there. It sounds like they're just fixing a bug right there. And they've also corrected the attack range of the following skills so the range better matches the graphical effects. I don't know if this is a nerf or a buff, because it could be the range was more than the graphical effects, so meaning they shortened the range, or it could be vice versa, where they've extended the range. I don't know if that is a buff or a nerf, but that's for the Maywars to figure out when they get into the PvP. So for Sorceress, just a quick one, they just fixed an issue where Engulfing Shadow activated without the dashing motion when the skill was used after certain range skills. So it looks like Tamer got some nerfs. They removed the push target effect on goods hits on Lightning of Earth, Surging Tide, and Upward Claw. That sounds like a nerf to me, because they got rid of the push, but if this helps the Tamer then do more combos, because sometimes pushes and skills, if you don't have the correct movement to be able to close the gap on the push, is a nerf for some classes, because they can't get their proper skill combos off because the person's just out of range. I don't know if that's the case for Tamer. If that is the case, that might help them out do some more damage. But usually, if you're getting rid of some kind of CC effect, it's a nerf. And they've also reduced the distance of these three skills, the push effect distance on these three skills. So Echo Piercing, Whiplash, and Fearful Trembling. Again, if this helps them combo more, maybe it's actually a buff and not a nerf. I don't know the Tamer very well, but that's for Tamers to decide. For Striker, they fixed an issue with the Martial Shard consumption. In the past, when they activated Crouching Wolf and Flash Step, it actually consumed both of their shards. Now it's only going to consume one, so that's definitely a buff for them, but it's something that should have been in the game. So it's a bug fix that's going to buff the class a little bit as well, so that's good for them. And they also fixed an issue where Striker would return to combat after switching to non-combat mode in Awakening. Sounds like another bug that they fixed. I'm not exactly sure what this was for the Striker. It sounds like sometimes when they switched from Awakening to non-Awakening, put them in the animation of drawing your weapon, so like a slow switch animation, I guess, maybe, and they fixed that for the class. If so, then that's good for them. I'm sure if this is getting them killed and now it's not, they're definitely going to be very appreciative of that change. But if it's been in the game for a long time, it's taken a while to... So other changes, due to the popularity of Christmas music, they've added it back in. I don't play with music. Maybe I should turn this music on because it's good, but I don't think I will. So they've added the description in the character slot expansion coupon to let you know how many is the new maximum character allowance on how many you have, which is really, really good. And now the maximum character slots is now equal to the maximum number of available classes. So there's 18 classes in the game with 18 slots. In the past, if we had 16 classes, we always had an extra slot of 17. So the Cam and Sylvia quest auto training has been added to recommended quests as well. Fixed an issue where sending items to storage would display the incorrect text. Fixed an issue where a sorceress created as the smallest character would occasionally not apply hits when using skills. Shard Explosion. So if you've made a very, very short sorceress class, you might have noticed this move wasn't working for you properly as intended, and now it should, so that's good for you. They fixed an issue where if Chinese was selected in the language of Black Desert, it would still play the opening semantic in English. They improved the speed which shop storage UI loads, which is good. Fix an issue where family bound items would occasionally display as a character bound. Decrease the amount of players required to trigger the hide adventurers option. I've actually gone to a few world bosses since the update and it's pretty nice. Like, people will disappear at the right time and that definitely helps out with the lag, so that's good. They fixed the issue when climbing a wall with a crescent pendulum. The crescent pendulum would abnormally move around, so I guess that's nice for them. Fixed an issue where tier 3 and tier 4 horses were not appearing in the wild. I'm sure a lot of people were probably complaining about this, so that's fantastic that they can get their horses. So due to current server issues, they're removing crystal shattering and EXP loss on death for the foreseeable future. Thank God, dude. There's a few times that I got very close to dying in Hysteria because of lag, and if I didn't have pen gear, I would have definitely died. So I'm sure this is really affecting a lot of people grinding high-end zones. So well done for them taking this out whilst they fix this problem. Obviously, they got a lot more users on a non-optimized platform, because they've definitely got a lot of optimization issues they got to sort out on console. And the fact that there's now also more users putting stress on that system, it's really caused a few problems. So this is a really good thing they've done, and they will be announcing it when that goes back to normal. But if you are negative karma, these penalties all still apply, because they don't want new players getting bullied by veterans. However, obviously, I'm not going to mention what it is, but veterans do use this to advantage. So it is unfortunate that that happens, but it's a part of the game, so we just have to deal with it. And finally, they applied an issue that should mitigate some crash issues. I haven't had many issues with crashing at all with my Xbox One X and SSD, but I know other consoles and other versions of the Xbox do have this problem. So that's good, especially if they can increase the load times for anyone that's not using SSD. That's always nice as well. Hopefully they monitor these successes, these changes, and these changes are successful, but time will tell. Guys, that is the patch notes for April 1st. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, and I'll try to get some more content posted later this week.